welcome back to my channel, Miss Pretty Plants. My name is Preeti and I garden here in Ontario in Zone 5B, and I'm out in my garden today planting some exciting shade perennials that I purchased on clearance sale, and I'm really excited to share with you these plants and changes I'm making to my shade garden. So these are the plants that I was able to get. So I have this hosta here. This is the Proven Winners Empress hosta, and it is not a very big sized container. I think it's just a half a gallon container, and it is a healthy plant. It's got lots of leaves and it doesn't look too big right now, but this plant is going to get ginormous. It will get about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and it gets really nice purpley maroon flowers in sometime in the summer. So excited to add this to my garden. I already have the Shadowland Hosta, so I'm excited to add this plain version of it in the garden as well. I like the dark foliage on this. I think it's going to add a lot of nice color, dark intense color in the shade garden. I think it's good to have a lot of this type of color as well in the shade garden, because if you add too much variegation, sometimes it can, your eyes don't have a resting place. And I think it's nice to add foliage that is this darker color in the shade garden. And sometimes when you see hostas, you can get very carried away with all the variegations and the patterns, and although they are great, I like adding some of these plainer hostas that are stunning in their foliage size. Like the leaf of this hosta can get up to 18 inches. So I'm really excited to see what this is going to do in my garden and how it grows and performs. I find, like, in my soil, the hostas are not extremely fast growing for some reason. I think it's because of all the trees and the root competition. So I take what I can grow under these maple trees, and if that means it's going to take its time to grow and fill out, that's okay too. So I'm excited. This plant it looks really healthy, and I'll show you where I'm planning to put it in the ground. So the other two plants that I was able to get are these Brunnera plants. So these were, I think these are just the regular Brunnera. I don't think they are Jack Frost. But I picked up two of these because I really liked how these leaves look. Again, they are deep dark green leaves, and I haven't seen this variety of Brunnera out there. Mostly what I've seen is Jack of Diamonds or Jack Frost. So this one, I don't know. I think as it gets older, it may get some silver speckles in it, but for now the foliage is pretty green, and the leaves are looking very healthy, and lots of new growth on this. Again, this is really good plant for the shade garden. You can plant it in part shade to full shade, and I think it's going to do well. I picked up two of these so that I can add it to my shade garden. The size wise, they can spread out up to 2 feet, so you can also divide them when they get bigger. So really good plant to have. And in spring, this will have beautiful delicate blue flowers, almost like the forget-me-not flowers. So excited to add this to my garden. I do not have this plant in my shade garden, and I'm excited to add it. And the other variety that I was able to find is this variegated Brunnera, which I haven't seen before either. So I got one of these to kind of layer with the the darker Brunneras. So I think this will look really pretty together. And both these plants are going to get the same blue flowers. So excited. The leaf structure on this is a little bit smaller, but I think once it's in the ground, it is going to grow. If you know what variety this is, please put it in the comments, because none of these plants were labeled as varieties. So but the only thing that was labeled was these are Brunnera plants. So it would be good if you know what variety this is and what I should be expecting. That would be good if you can put it in the comments. That'll help me a lot. And so this one, from what I've been reading, the variegated Brunneras do not spread as fast. They're not that fast growing, which is fine. I love how this looks with just the regular one, which is why I got more of the regular one and one variegated to kind of create this trio effect of Brunneras. And then the other plant that I got 3 of these. These are hyssop plants. So these are the Kudos, ambrosia, anise, hyssop. So these are a full sun perennials, very, very hardy. I picked these up because I showed you a video on how I revamped my backyard, a bed in my backyard towards the very end of my backyard, and I think these would be great plants to add in that location because they are quite drought tolerant once they're established. And I have a variety of this in my front garden as well, and it does really well. It's grown a lot, so I think this will be a good plant to add, and add these really delicate, almost trumpet shaped flowers. So this is also called a hummingbird mint because hummingbirds love this plant. So it's going to keep flowering right from summer through frost. So I have one in my front yard, and it's been flowering all summer. Like it started in late spring to early summer, and it's been flowering since. So I have 3 of these plants, and I can go through what the tag says about these plants as well. So hold on. So what the tag is saying is, again, these are, let me just make sure, these are creamy coconut, pale orange, and light rose pink spikes. They have a charming, airy appearance. They are low and tight. Basically, these are more of a compact variety, so they're only going to grow 45 centimeters tall. So it's good for the front of the border. I feel like somewhere in the front where you can see them, and then it basically is going to bloom from midsummer to mid-fall, and it attracts butterflies, and it's good for mass planting, container planting, or as a specimen plant. So flower colors change constantly, which is nice, and it blends with almost any color in the spectrum. So because it has different shades of apricot, orange, pink, and coconut, creamy coconut color, I think any kind of color would go with this flower. So I did plant a bunch of I have some Russian sage that I planted recently in that same bed, so I think this would look really nice in that bed, and kind of provide weed control, and also add a lot of spiky textured flowers for that garden. And what I'm really the most excited about, that they are drought tolerant, which is a perfect condition for that area. So these are all the plants that I was able to get recently, and I am excited to add them into my shade garden. I'm going to position it, and I'll show you where they're going to go in the ground. So this is what I'm thinking about in terms of placement of these plants. So I had shared with you these 2 shrubs that I also picked up recently, and I'll share a link to that video in the description below that talks about these 2 shrubs that are quite shade tolerant, and I'm excited to add it in this part of the bed because, as you can see, that I have a big maple shade cover here, and I am slowly trying to create a shade garden here that almost like a woodland shade garden that's going to incorporate a lot of shade perennials. So as you can see, I've already started to add a bunch of shade perennials along this border here, and I'm going to slowly evolve it as and when I test and see what is going to take here and what's going to grow. So what's already in this bed is I have a Shadowland Hosta that I planted here, and I have 5 plants of Pachysandra that I planted. So I'm hoping that this becomes this low ground cover that's going to fill in any gaps that are in this bed. And then I also have this, this is an Itea, which is called Little Henry by Proven Winner. So this is also a very shade tolerant plant. Gets really nice white spiky flowers in I think late spring to early summer, and really nice stunning foliage in the fall. And then this is what I'm going to plant over here. And then I also planted a meadow sweet shrub in the back there, which will also get to around the same height as all of these other shrubs. I think it gets about 4 to 5 feet tall, and this gets about 3 to 4 feet tall. And then I'm also going to put this diervilla, this Kodiak orange diervilla, which I also got recently in this spot because it's another very shade tolerant shrub. And what it gets is these really pretty yellow flowers in summer, which will be nice to have a little bit of a flowering shrub here. And this one also gets about 3 to 4 feet tall and white. So, and then the rest of the shade perennials that I got, the hosta, the Empress hosta, I think I'm going to plant it in the middle there in the back and wait for it to fill in. And then I'm going to create a trio, almost a triangle of these Brunneras with the variegated one more towards the front and center of that triangle. And beside it, I already have a Kodiak black diervilla, which I recently planted. So this one, as you can see, is already changing its fall color. So the color variation in this bed is already looking really nice. And then I also have a yellow twig dogwood, which I recently moved here from a bed in the back. So I think this is a great start for this side of the bed. As you can see, I'm just using some birch logs to edge this little bed here because that's what I had. A neighbor of mine was cutting down their tree, and I love recycling, reusing natural materials for my bed, and I think it looks really nice against it really adds a little bit of light in this shady corner. The white of the birch, it really highlights this bed, and I like how it's placed. And once the plants grow and spill over, it will kind of look really naturalistic here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these plants in the ground, and I'll show you what this area looks like when it's all done. And I'm going to now walk over and show you where I'm going to plant those hyssop plants that I also got. The backyard bed that I recently kind of revamped, removed some ditch lilies, and I'll also post a link to those videos below in case you're interested to see what are some of the new plants that I put in this area. I put a gingerwine 9-bark and a dappled willow. So I'm planning to put these hyssops right in front here, in front of these cone flowers, almost like a triangle again, just because they are more compact growing and they are not very tall. They're about 18 inches. So I think they'll be a good complement to the colors of the cone flowers. And what I can do next here is add some purple salvias somewhere in the middle there, just to add pops of purple around this section. So I already have 2 Rocketman Russian sage here, so I think I'm going to add some regular salvias here, maybe some meadow sage in here, just to add spikes of purple, because these flower colors are very similar to the flower colors of the cone flower, which is nice because it's a very different leaf texture, which is much delicate, and the flowers are much delicate compared to the cone flowers. So it's going to add a nice color kind of interest in this section along with the big cone flowers. So I think overall really happy with these plants here. They are very drought tolerant, as I mentioned, and I think they'll do well in this location. I also have a catmint here, which will add some blue purple interest once this gets to fill in this area and become more of a mound. So, and then I might add some more purple on this side, and maybe one plant somewhere in there. So I'm not really sure yet. This area, like I said, is still evolving, reorganizing, and I'm excited to add these hyssop plants in here because I know they are long flowering, and that's exactly what this bed needs. And I wanted something that was low maintenance, and would grow fast and take up a bit of space, which this plant will do. It will spread out and take on space. It is from the mint family, so it's going to, you know, spread nicely. It's going to create mounds here, and which is perfect for this bed. So I'm going to get these plants that I just showed you, this one and the shade plants, in the ground, and I will show you a final you know, walkabout to show you what these plants look like in the ground out of these pots. Thank you so much. So here it is. I wanted to show you that I'm done planting these in the ground. That's the Empress hosta in the back, and the 3 Brunneras, the one variegated one and the 2, I think, just plain green ones are in the back. Almost like a little triangle, but not quite. So I just wanted them to be more naturalistic looking, and almost spill over this bed as they grow. And this is the Kodiak orange diervilla. I put it in the ground here, and this is the Itea that I also planted here. I think the colors look really nice with the Pachysandra, and that's the Shadowland Hosta in the back there. So I think these will fill out nicely, and I'll see how this looks next year. And there are still some gaps where I probably will put some smaller flowers or bulbs and other interesting pot shade to shade plants in here, and continue to evolve this. And then I'll also show you where I planted the hyssop, and it's also in the ground here, in this bed over here. The hyssop is in the ground. I kind of put 3 of them almost like in a little semicircle here, just so that I want this whole entire area to get covered with these plants. And these grow really fast, and they have a really long bloom time, so I like that they are here together. And to do that, I had to move one of these English daisy plants more to the side, and I kind of like it because these 2 are now together, and they will probably form some sort of an impact together. They are, I think, very tiny flowers, so I just grew them from seeds, and I want to see next year just what they do. So yeah, in addition to these, I also planted a salvia that was sitting in a pot, and I'll show you where I planted that. Where I put the salvia. So this is the Midnight Model Salvia Fashionista variety that I put alongside these cone flowers. And there are also a couple more salvias here and in the back there, so it's going to create like a nice drift of purple flowers in this bed here, along with these echinacea. So I think the colors will look really nice together. So these plants I had bought in a plant haul. I'll post a link to that video where I talk details about the plant specifics. So that video will have this plant, the diervilla, the Kodiak orange diervilla, as well as the Itea, the little Henry. So I will post a link in the description, and you can watch that video for more details. So these plants are in the ground, and they're looking really good, and it's a really good time to get these in the ground because it's been raining, it's been warm, and there is still some time to settle in before it's going to be really cold and snowing. So yeah, so these plants are in the ground, and I am all done for this video, and I wanted to thank everyone for watching and subscribing to my channel. If you like this video, please hit the like button and let me know. And if you have any comments for me, please put them in the comment box below. And if you have any of these plants in your garden or have experience with any of these, do let me know. This is my very first time planting, especially the Itea and the diervillas. So I'm really excited to see how they perform next year and over the years. Thanks so much for watching, and everyone have a wonderful day, whichever part of the world you're in. Thank you so much.